Morning, everyone. First things first, can I just check that you can all hear me okay? Because Hazel said that I was a little bit quiet, so just let me know if you're struggling to hear me.
I can hear you fine, yeah.
Good
Yeah, I can hear you fine as well.
Good stuff. It must be on Hazel's end though, so that's all right. So yeah, welcome everybody to the How to Talk to Tiny People training. Really great to have you all this morning. As Hazel said, it is an hour session and there is quite a bit to fit in. So if we do go over a couple of minutes, if you need to head off, I'm not offended. Please do what you need to do. But so that we don't miss any time, let's crack on. So just thought it'd be useful to do some introductions first thing. So for those who don't know us as the centre, we were set up in 2011 as a not-for-profit to develop leadership capability across Cumbria. Over the years, we've diversified and now work with people of all ages, starting from primary schools right the way up to retirement and creating this leadership community. My name's Rihanna. I look after our early careers programme, so I support 16 to 30-year-olds. So lots of experience working with young people. Do also support the primary team, which is why I'm doing this training this morning. But for me, it'd be really great to get to know you a bit more. And obviously, we've got some different companies on the call. So if you want to network with each other as well afterwards, that's always a good part of Bright Stars. So really just around the room to sort of introduce yourself, your company, and any experience that you already have working with young people, specifically primary schools, and whether you've done Bright Stars before. So I'll go around my screen. So at the top, I've got Laura. Are you okay to go first?
Yeah, no problem. So I'm Laura Bonus. I'm the HR business partner for Amcor Flexibles in Workington. We do flexible packaging. So the predominantly Walkers is one of our biggest customers, the crisp bags that we print, and then we do the Kellogg's sort of cereal liner for that go in the boxes. We've taken part in Bright Stars quite a few times previously, not recently, but probably, maybe about 6-7 years ago. So really my need for being on this call is I don't speak to a lot of younger children. I've got no children myself. I'm used to speaking to dogs rather than children. So yeah, so this is why I've joined the training today, just to kind of we're linked with a school that's literally down the road from us, so which is quite good. So yeah, so that'd be interesting for me today.
Thanks very much, Laura. And yeah, absolutely amazing to have Amcor on board. Thank you. And we do talk about Amcor through some of our other primary programmes, specifically Dream Big. We always bring some Walker's crisp packets along and say that they're made down the road in Workington. So yeah, fabulous. Thank you. Next on my screen is Diana.
Hi, I'm a degree quality apprentice for Nestle, but I'm just from home at the moment, and then there's other people from Nestle on the call as well. So we're just doing Bright Stars.
Brilliant. Is this the first time that you've done it, Diana?
Yeah, this is the first time I've done it.
And have you got any other experience working with young people?
No, I've got 2 little sisters, so I do talk with them. They've just went into year 7.
Lovely and great. Often family members are great ways of practicing some of these key skills and talking to young people. So fabulous. Thank you. Next up, we've got Pamela.
Hi, Pam Green from Graham Construction, Social Value Impact Business Advisor, quite a title. Yeah, I have part of my role is to go into schools and colleges to talk about routes into construction and do some STEM activities, but it's always good to refresh really, because I think part of my role was just jumping at the deep end and continue. Although I've been doing it for a few years, it's good to know to make sure I'm on the right path really.
So when you're in schools and colleges, is that mainly secondary or do you do primary as well?
Yeah, it varies. I mean, secondary ones tend to be like the mock interviews, the careers fairs, things like that. But with primary ones, obviously it's our first time doing Bright Stars, but it's normally like the STEM activities, going in with your PPE and telling them about different things in construction at a different level. And also doing some spaghetti and marshmallow and some bridge making, those type of activities that we tend to do.
some of them might come in handy for some of your Bright Stars activities, I'm sure. So yeah, great to have you, Pam. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so the last video is, I assume it's Nestle, so I can see there's quite a few people sat around the screen. So if you want to introduce yourselves.
Hiya, I'm Georgia. I'm a technical leadership grad here, and I've got no experience whatsoever working with children, so very much needed.
Hi, I'm Bahram. I'm also a technical leadership grad. Apart from nieces and nephews, I'd say I don't have much experience working with children.
No problem, thank you. Who else?
Hi, I'm Lily.
Hi.
I'm a quality degree apprentice, and the only experience I've had with kids is those that are unable and helping them teach ride horses.
Oh, what a great experience. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Tom. I work in engineering. Likewise, I've got no experience working with children.
We've got two more around here as well.
Okay.
I'm Marvin. I'm a placement student in engineering, and I don't have any experience either.
No problem.
Hi, I'm Merlin. I'm also doing engineering placement. I'm STEM ambassador, so worked with kids before in class activity settings.
Brilliant, thank you. Okay, so we've got oh, was that everybody? Yeah,
that's everyone.
Thanks very much. Okay, so we have got a mix on the call. So if at any point we're going too fast for those who don't have as much experience, please do follow up with Hazel or myself afterwards, and we can clarify anything that we talk about. Like I said, an hour isn't a long time to get through everything, so keen to make sure that we do whiz through everything that we need to. So what we'll be doing this morning, let's move my slides on. A little touch on a little bit on Bright Stars. So obviously for the Nestle crew who maybe haven't done some of it before, just to go over that and sort of expectations. We'll touch on safeguarding considerations, but majority of the session will be the tips and strategies for engaging people. The thing I really want to stress is that Bright Stars is great fun, and not to worry too much about it. Primary school is a lovely age to work with, so I'm sure you'll have no problems at all engaging with these young people. But so that it's not just me talking, it's going to be a little bit interactive. So if you've all got those who are more experienced, please do share your tips and strategies as well. If there's things that you've learned in the past, please do speak up. You can either use the chat function or take yourselves off mute. Not bothered at all. It's supposed to be interactive, learn from each other. So yeah, please do get involved. Okie doke. Just wanted to share a little bit about, and don't know how well you guys will be able to see this, but this is our impact report from last financial year. Just wanted to highlight that there's other primary programs as well that we do offer that you might want to get involved with as well. So the Primary Business Partnership is a sort of brokerage for businesses and primary schools, specifically in West Cumbria at the minute. So there's lots and lots of other volunteering opportunities that you might want to get involved with through Primary Business Partnership. And Bright Stars has been running now for over 10 years. So it is one of our flagship programs that we really absolutely love. So about Bright Stars, if you're not aware, it's a primary school competition for all primary schools across Cumbria, so not bound by any geography on this programme. So each school receives £50 seed funding with a simple instruction to set up a mini social enterprise. They've got 12 weeks to grow that £50 into potentially the most profitable business. I know that you've got the option to talk more about Bright Stars, so I don't want to go too much into that on today's call about awards and things. But your role as business volunteers and mentors is to help them every step. So you work with them over 12 weeks, generally once a week going into the school. So their objective over the course of the programme is to make a profit and make a difference, sort of the key ethos of a social enterprise. And just on the screen there as well as a reminder of the key dates. Any questions on just sort of what Bright Stars is at the minute? We're all happy. I know there's an intro briefing session tomorrow as well, so you can find out more about the logistics of the programme. Its main aims is to introduce leadership and social entrepreneurship at a younger age. That's our experience working at the centre, is that leadership is something that we can show at any age. It's not a job title. It's our attitudes and our behaviours. So it's just really giving young primary school children the opportunity to demonstrate and learn some of those key skills. And creating awareness of sort of careers from a younger age as well. So your roles as business mentors, talking about your experience is a really great opportunity as well for these young people. As I've already mentioned, you'll be working with them weekly, and you'll be going to sort of help them setting up the core elements of a business, whether that's the business plan, a marketing and comms plan, finances, team roles. So is someone going to be the team leader? Is someone going to be the treasurer? So a little bit later on in the session, we'll look at lesson plans and how you can sort of plan for those topics as well a little bit later on. Hazel, who is on the call, she'll provide you with all the login details that you need for the website so you can access all the resources that we talk about today. And just a reminder that it doesn't just have to be yourself that works with the school. Please encourage other colleagues to get involved, bring them along as well. At any point, if you've got questions about Bright Stars, drop Hazel an email. She'll be more than happy to help as our project manager for Bright Stars. Okie dokie. So safeguarding. So official definition is the protecting children from abuse and maltreatment. But the reason that it's so important is it's not just about protecting young people. We need to talk about this to protect you guys as well as volunteers. It's something that's really important. So obviously just wanted to have a bit of a chat really first off to see what you already know. Is there anyone that's done any safeguarding training already? Then is that a nod from you, Pam, or is it? Yeah. And I'm assuming some of the others, maybe not. Anyone else? Feel free to take yourselves off mute and just share what you.
Sorry, I thought I was off mute. That's why I was going. Yeah.
It's hard for me to see the screen because I've got the slide sharing as well. So yeah, please feel free to take yourselves off mute. So yeah, okie dokie. So I'll whiz through. Some do's and don'ts then is just what we wanted to touch on today. The main thing is quite obvious. Do not share any contact details with young people. The main thing is with primary schools as well, you should never be left alone. The teacher will always be in the room. So if there's any issues, it is the teacher's responsibility. It's not your responsibility. But remember that all the young people are individuals. Treat them as individuals. Treat them fairly. Try not to show favouritism. Listen to them and take them seriously, but respect their privacy. Some of them might not want to talk or might not feel comfortable. Obviously, if you can go in with a colleague, that's even better. Then there's two of you leading the session and it's not just yourself. But as I've already said, the teacher will be in attendance as well. Your role in this programme is to be a positive role model. Model good behaviour, so anything that you expect from a young person, make sure that you're modelling that behaviour. It does say on the slide there, challenge unacceptable behaviour. Remember, you're not there as teachers. It's if there is a disruptive child or something going on, it is the teacher's responsibility to tackle that. So don't feel like you've got to take on too much on this side of things. Prioritise the welfare. So as I've said, don't share too many personal details, don't exchange phone numbers, anything like that. You can do safeguarding training. There's lots of different information out there. The NSPCC is a good source. You can do courses for about £30 if you want to talk more about it. And obviously knowing where to signpost. If in doubt, please escalate it to the centre. It's best if you've got any concerns, please share them rather than keeping them to yourselves. But like I said, in primary schools, you will not be left alone. Finally, on just sort of safeguarding considerations, although we do encourage you to take lots, sort of engage with our marketing efforts on Bright Stars, it's really important that we share the success of what these students are doing. we will exercise caution and say, do not take photos on your own devices. Ask the teacher to do it and then send them to you. It's just safer, easier for consent. The teacher will know who can't be in photos. So just to remember that, just to not take photos on your own devices. I know I've whizzed through that one, but I'm keen to get to the sort of engaging slides. Is there any questions on safeguarding or photography? No? Remember, if you have any follow-ups afterwards, please just ask. Okie dokie. So the more exciting and fun, less serious part. So working with young people, either take yourselves off mute or pop it into the chat. I know, Nestle, when you've got 6 people around a laptop, it might be challenging. But in 3 words, what comes to mind when you think about working with primary age children? We've got a very quiet room this morning. Lots of ideas, yeah.
We've come up with challenging, creative, and fun.
What do you think's challenging then, Georgia?
I think just because they're young children, they each come with their individual challenges. It's very different to working with adults.
Yeah.
Some thinks it's easier than working with adults.
In some ways it is, yeah.
Can be.
I found when I work with them that they all have their ideas, but they all want to say their ideas at the same time. So it's actually quite challenging actually keeping the room calm and getting the ideas one by one. I stood with a flip chart and I was there for about an hour trying to get all the ideas down on paper. So yeah, maybe not the best way forward next time.
I think that's a really good point as well, Laura, because they're doing Bright Stars, it's different to the normal lessons, so the excitement levels can escalate. And again, although you're not there as a teacher, just don't be afraid to bring the energy levels back down and say, remember our manners, not talking over each other, hands up, and don't be afraid to sort of go down that route and try and contain some of that excitement. Anything else that we think about?
Yeah. I was going to say, like sponges, they absorb everything that you tell them and take on board, and they're more engaging, I find, a lot of the time than older pupils.
Yeah, I completely agree, and they remember everything you say. So again, it's a good and a bad thing, I guess.
They did that with me on one primary school. I went in and did a little talk and did some activities, and then we did a mini careers fair, and they remembered me, which was cute because it was like months later. So,
and Bright Stars is one of those amazing programs. So because it's run for so long now, we are working with some of the young people that did Bright Stars in the early years, and they're now 16, 17, 18, and they remember it. So it is definitely something that they do remember. So the more you can put into it. Sorry, was that you? Go for it.
I did Bright Stars when I was in primary school, yeah. And I remember it. I did a disco.
Did a disco?
Yeah, we did a disco.
That's amazing. What school was that?
Gosforth, C of E primary school.
Do you know when that would have been?
It would have been over 8 years ago now. So probably one of the first years it was done. Yeah.
And that just goes to show, thank you for sharing that. It's really lovely for us to hear. And now you're getting back involved with it on the other side. So how exciting. At least you know what the programme is as well. So that's great. Are there any concerns that you guys have got? I know, Nestle, you've already shared that you think it's potentially challenging, more challenging than adults, but are there any major concerns that you want to bring to the table at this point? Nope.
I'm lucky when I go into to do hours with one of the volunteers from our site is actually a Brownies teacher, so she's quite used to dealing with the kids. So I'm looking forward to having her supporting me on this one.
Yes. And last year the centre actually volunteered for the first time so I've done it as well, and it can get the excitement and the energy levels can get quite high. I did the name and logo brainstorming with them, so it was very excitable. So yes, and just a word of caution as well here is that the teachers can have their own opinions and can kind of sway students down certain avenues. So I guess it's managing that balance to sort of level between teacher involvement and remembering it's a pupil-led programme. So giving them the opportunity to share their ideas as well. Brilliant. Okie dokie. So those more experienced, do we have any top tips already for engaging primary age children? I'm sure with your STEM events, I'm sure you've got lots.
I suppose it's the icebreakers, isn't it? As you say, not sharing too much personal detail, but sharing enough so they understand who you are, your role as well. And because I'd go in PPE and tell them, I'll ask them what it meant, why I'm wearing a hat, why I'm wearing boots, why I'm wearing glasses, a high vis, and get that discussion going. And also then it was surprising how many of the pupils around the class had family members that were in construction as well. So for me it was like just having that overall, are they aware of what construction means, what the business means, what we do, all the different roles, especially in my role where it's predominantly male roles as well. So it's encouraging females into that industry. So it starts that, and I used to let them try on the PPE, and the teachers used to take the pictures as well, which sometimes they quite like that as well. So I think for me it was just those little icebreakers initially, getting to know them, and then they were all, once we got the marshmallows, jelly beans, everything out, it was great. But just telling them they can't eat them.
Yes.
They're being construction.
Yeah, they're really crucial materials. They're not food.
No.
Yeah, no, and that's really great that you've talked about explaining job roles, because it does feature a little bit. I can't remember on what slide, but we do talk about it, so it's worth sharing now. And because we want you guys as business mentors to share your career journeys as well, although it's not the primary aim of the programme. It is important that they're exposed to these positive role models. So yeah, breaking down the stereotypes of a woman working in construction, bringing in the PPE. And I think you've summarised it really well there, Pam, as well, just to make it relatable, because I don't know what all your job roles are necessarily. I can't remember obviously from this morning, but sometimes if you've got a very complicated job title, telling them what your job title is, it might not mean anything. So it's just trying to remember and adjust your language to make it something that does mean something to them. So tell them what types of activities you do in your job, rather than just saying I'm a senior project manager for something. Just making sure that they know what types of projects you work on, what sort of day-to-day tasks are. Do you work around a laptop a lot, or is it out and about on sites? Those types of things as well. Any other tips for engaging primary age children?
I mean, for us, it's quite easy because we just take product in to show them what we actually produce, and I'll take a reel in real format to show them actually, you know, what it looks like before it is made into a crisp bag and all that kind of stuff. So it's quite easy to engage them that way, in just terms of, you know, they know where we are because they're all local kids. So it's just like, do you know what we do there first of all, and then start showing them the products. It's just like Pam said there, just the little icebreaker to help them understand what you actually do.
Props are great, and I'm sure Nestle, you'll have lots of different props as well that you can bring in. So more visual aids that you can get them that grabs attention, rather than just talking at them. I think you'll be an immediate good start for engaging.
Do I just say it?
Yeah, we've got another tip here.
Go on then.
Not making it boring, as in, like, if you were to do a PowerPoint with them, don't just talk through slides. You've got to actually interact with them, otherwise they're not going to give you the time of day.
Yeah, that is a really good one. I mean, you might need to do slides on some of these sessions if there's a lot of information to cascade down, But yeah, just trying to remember those key tips of keeping minimal text on it. Can you back it up, bring it to life, show an example, use imagery, videos as well is another great one. So what we'll do. So our tips then are to grab their attention. We've already talked about that. Those icebreakers at the start are really, really important. Making it relevant. So again, for example, if you're talking about your job title, making sure that it means something to them. I think what's nice is Amcor and Nestle, you've probably got things that is relevant to them. It's the food that they eat. So yeah, there's lots of ways that you can spin what you guys do into making it relevant. Those in construction, have you worked on, if it's civils, is it a bridge, is it a road, is it a building, those types of things, making it relevant to them. Thinking about structure, I did touch on it very, very lightly before, making sure we are structured with our lesson plans, and there is a lesson plan activity that we'll do in just a minute, so we'll go through more of that later on. Keep sessions short. Sessions short, that's a bit of a mouthful. I mean, it'll depend on what the school can give you in terms of weekly time commitments. But if you are talking, keep the talking to the minimum and get them doing some interactive activities. I would say absolute max 1 hour sessions is more than enough, but if you can make it shorter, even better. Ooh, I've gone too far. Asking simple questions just to gauge understanding. The thing is with primary school children, they're not afraid to tell the truth. So if they don't get something, they'll generally tell you. If something doesn't make sense, you can ask them, does that make sense to you? Do we understand? And they'll tell you. And if they don't, then it's trying to rephrase what you were saying and trying to use some of those original techniques of grabbing attention, using visual aids and rephrasing what you're saying. The activities, so Pam, with your spaghetti and marshmallow challenge, if you can incorporate that into your sessions, I'm sure they'll love that. There's lots of tips and resources that we provide through the website, so there might be things that you can use to incorporate activities. Engaging delivery techniques, then we've already talked about it, mixing up the input. So videos, visuals, audios. Some of the topics that we'll get you to cover is things like what is a business, what is a what is a social enterprise, and there are some videos that we've already created. So don't be afraid to reshare those and get them to explain them, because they're designed for this age group. Using the space. Now, I don't know if you have been into primary schools, you can know that classrooms can get a bit tight, so use your judgment on this. I would say just exercise caution. If it's really crammed, lots of tables and chairs, I would avoid it for health and safety. However, moving around, getting the blood pumping is a good way to re-energize your students. A lot of the time you might go in afternoons after lunch when there's a bit of a slump. So yeah, doing activities that gets them walking around is definitely going to be a good way to regain attention and keeping them engaged. Already touched on the next point, so explaining your job or company, can you adapt it to make it more relatable? Using whiteboards, flip charts for brainstorming. Generally the school will have all of that there, so you won't need to necessarily bring too much with you. A lot of the students nowadays will have those individual mini whiteboards, and they love using them, so feel free to get them to use them if they've got them. Sharing ideas and things is a great way to get them, and it means that everybody's engaging with the session rather than having to put hands up and things. So it's always a good one to do. Quick polls. Do you like this idea? What's our number one choice? Hands up if you think it's a good idea. Again, it just helps you sort of gauge understanding. Using games, cards and quizzes if you can, and just mixing up the delivery so you're not talking at them too long. Any questions or other comments on this?
Rhianna, it's Hazel here.
Hello.
Georgia Williamson of BAE sends her apologies, and I've just put a question in the chat. Just answer it when it's relevant. I've already given her an answer, but just because don't know if you mentioned, because sorry, I've been on the line with Georgia. It is being filmed, so if you could answer that question online, she'll see it as well.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah, DBS checks, no, because you'll be escorted by a teacher. It's not essential to have DBS checks. You can bring in obviously volunteers. If you were working on a one-to-one basis, that's when you would need your DBS. Cool. So, anticipating and dealing with challenges. Any concerns that have sort of arisen as we've gone through some of the slides so far? So I guess we can whiz through a couple together then. So I think some of the common what ifs is, what if no one speaks? I think it's quite unlikely if you've got a classroom full of 30 primary school children that you'll get no one speaking. You'll probably get too many, if anything, but if it does happen, it's likely a sign that they've not understood what you're asking them. So just to remember to rephrase and try and do some questioning to ensure that they are understanding what you're asking. Other challenging situations could be if there's a disruptive member of the class. Just a reminder again that you're not there to replace the teacher, and you can ask for support with a student if you're not comfortable. But again, we're adults here, so use your judgment on whether you think it's appropriate to say something. But yeah, if ask the teacher to get involved if there's something going on. Has that prompted any other sort of concerns or challenges that we'd like to go through?
Not with me now.
Stuff. Okie dokie. So what we'll do then is we'll whiz on through to lesson planning. So I have talked a little bit already about lesson plans. So the sessions that you'll be covering with them do include things like the business plan activity, marketing, helping them come up with logos, finances, helping them know how to keep track of budgets and things. So it does help to do the prep work beforehand. So there's 3 core elements of these sessions, and it's the planning, the design and the delivery. So on the screen here, I've just got a blank copy of a lesson plan. It's something I would use when I'm designing my own workshops and things. It doesn't need to necessarily be that detailed, but having that structure of the timing, knowing how long something's going to take for you, what resources you need to bring with you, and the outcome that you want from that activity. So a vital element of the planning is the goals. What do you want to achieve from the end of that session? So by the end of the session, what do you want your audience to know, feel and do? So that's know, potentially could be about your company, could be about your job role, your skills needed. Feel, so what do you want them to feel about themselves, about the future, about their business? And what do you want them to do? So actions to take, things to try and skills to learn. The practicalities is sort of logistics around how you're going to make this happen. So when you're planning, thinking about sort of what you know about your audience already, do you have a really large class size that's going to make it hard to do some activities? Have you got quite a younger, is it reception year 1 that you're working with, or is it year 5 and 6? Because there is a difference. So what do you already know about your audience, and how can you use that to change, to sort of incorporate elements into your lesson plan? Out of interest, do you all know what age groups you're working with already? Have you been told the class sizes and stuff yet?
We've been told.
I can't be doing. It's different when you're flawed. And I was in bed because then you can't do. I couldn't have done anything. It was absolutely flawed.
Sorry, I'm getting confused there. I don't know if I could hear that properly.
So we've been told that we're working with 3 to 7-year-olds, and obviously it's quite a large group of them, 250. So it'll be interesting.
50?
250.
250?
Yes.
Wow. So that will be full school then, is it?
I imagine so, yes.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I suggest maybe we follow up a little bit more after this session on that one, because that is a very large group to be working with.
We're speaking with the school this evening, and I think Sarah Glass is joining us for that
Okay,
conversation.
good. Yeah, I was going to say that is probably a little bit too big. Normal is like a class size, say your 30s is probably the largest you would do it with. Some schools might decide to do it with like their school council, for example. So yeah, any other one, anyone else also already been told what year groups and numbers and things that they're working with?
Yeah, ours is a bit different. We're working with year 3s and there'll be 35 of them. We met with the school yesterday.
Brilliant.
So
What school are you
already.
with?
Dissington Community School.
Cool. Brilliant. And what about you, Laura? Do you know who?
I think mine are year 5. I'm just looking at my email from Rebecca. I've got my introduction meeting on Monday, so I think mine are year 5. So not sure what age those children are, but year 5.
10, 9, 10.
So a little bit better there.
Yeah. Could be. The younger ones always have lots and lots of ideas.
I've dealt with really, really young ones before on the previous ones, and it was in the local sort of area where we're at, and I go for a walk over lunchtime, and their school playground is just literally as I walk past. And for about 6 months afterwards, they were shouting, "There's Miss Laura," on the way past. So,
oh, that's sweet. That's lovely. Yeah. So yeah, just remember these key elements, remembering sort of who you're working with, keeping that in mind. Don't say, if you are working with 3-year-olds, you're going to have to tone or sort of change the way you do some things. But yeah, the space, IT, obviously schools will have projectors and things. If to save time, you can send things over to your teachers to ask them to share. If there's some pre-work that you want them to do, if you want them to do some research or brainstorming before you arrive, remembering to send that over to the teacher well in advance so that they've got time to incorporate that into their sort of curriculum. Okay. So designing. So we'll be doing a little bit later on the what is a business, and we'll go through that together and get you to do some work together. But just to remember to grab attention, the first thing is what you want to do. Thinking about your content, what are you going to be needing to deliver that outcome, and the communication. So is it you talking at them? Try and avoid that. Just try and make sure that you're mixing up the input. Getting advice on your delivery, any concerns at any point is speaking to your schools, your teacher, the centre if you've got any real concerns. Practice, I know that you're all volunteers and you're giving up time for this, but if you do have time to practice, we do recommend doing that. But the main thing is what have fun in your delivery. Remember that if you're looking nervous or a little bit unsure, students will pick up on that. So go with it. It is great fun working with such a lovely age group. So yeah, don't overthink it too much. So a little bit of an activity. You've got, we'll go through some slides together. It's one of our resources that we've already created, and it's what is a business. Don't assume that a young person will already know what a business is. They might have their own ideas, but we'll make it relatable to them, which we'll sort of go through together. So I think what we'll do in terms of breakout rooms is probably keep the Nestlé on the one slide, on the one screen, and then put the rest of you into a breakout room, if that's okay. So what we would like you to do is to create the lesson plan for the what is a business topic, and just imagine that you're going to be doing it for 20 minutes with a group of 5 to 6 year olds. So I'll just quickly whiz through the slides so you can see what the resources are, but remembering the core elements is what do you want them to know, feel and do at the end of the session, and so hopefully we'll have some pointers that we can share together. So you've got your actual definition of what is a business. Another way of explaining it is reminding them that school is a business as well. So making it relatable. So a business could be anything at all. Then I don't know how well you can see it on the screen. We've got a picture of McVitie's, another Carlisle-based company, and it's getting them to think about the size of the business. So doing some interactive activities with them, getting them to talk about it. Talking about goods or services, you might need to do a little, if you're working with a younger age group, obviously some more explanations might be needed for difference between goods and services. What makes it successful? Be really interesting to hear what those young people come up with on what makes a successful business in the case of McVitie's. So some of the ideas is there's lots of choice, they have different prices and lots of tasty products. And then there's another example of a micro business or a small business, and you'll do the same concept with that. And then there's a video clip that you could show as well. So now that we've just whizzed through that, I know it was a whistle-stop tour, but I want you to see if we can have a quick go at coming up with a lesson plan activity. So I'm going to say 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes. I'll check on you after 5 minutes and see how we're getting on, and I'll leave this on the screen. I panicked then. There was a bit of a delay bringing you all back. I was thinking, well, I've closed the rooms and they've all gone. So how did you get on? Did you have time to come up with the full plan?
I don't think we came up with a full plan as such. We just talked around what we would do. So really, it's kind of along the lines of what you presented there. We kind of are in agreement that that's what and we talked about different ideas from each of us of what we would actually use to do the activities with the children, and how you would best demonstrate what your business does and explain to them and get them involved in, you know.
So you guys probably have the harder job because with all coming from different businesses. So I will go to you guys first. Do you want to talk through some of your ideas and we can sort of discuss it together?
So again, it was just about, you know, the presentation that you did there. As I said earlier, I would take actual physical product in, take it in real format, then take it in actual, you know, finished product of crisps and cereal boxes and things like that. Talk about, you know, the elements that make up the business, what functions, how many operators do you think it takes to produce this product, and all that kind of stuff. And then we're talking about different you know, different size of businesses that we'll talk through. For me, it's quite easy to explain, you know, we've got an easy exercise to say to them, how much do you think 1% of waste costs in pounds? We've got the number of cars that would be, you know, in things like that. So things like that, really. I think Pam had some good ideas as well in terms of the construction side of things and the activities.
Yeah, just following on from what we've said before, really. We start off with who we are, what size business we are, how that each of our projects are run like a business. They all have a set element when we bid for them, how much the project is going to cost, how much profit we want to make from that project. Bearing in mind that's why we do the STEM activities, because they get a set amount of materials, a set amount of time to do those, working that. And if they have to ask for more materials or extra time, then what that does to the business has a knock-on effect with the end result, the overrunning, the costs involved with overrunning, things like that. And then, as you say, all the different roles within that business to make the business work, really, because we all need IT, we all need finance, we all need marketing, we all need comms. It's all those different elements that come together, not always what you see, which is what Laura said. The end product is what you see, but you don't know really what goes into making that product.
I really love that you've talked about we all need marketing, we all need IT, and obviously some of those topics are we all need to get paid, those types of things. So yeah, that's really relatable to their Bright Stars business as well. So that's all. So if you drip feed it every step of the way, I think that's a really great. I love that example. Thanks, Pam.
Yeah.
And that all roles are important as well. If you do the team roles session, everyone's got a role in the team as well, and then that you're also building up those teamwork skills and understanding how a team functions. So yeah. What about you, Diana? Anything else to add on what you guys chatted about?
Just really about engaging them with bringing in your products and explaining what you do in terms that they'd understand, and not using too much like jargon, because they're not going to understand and take any of it in if they don't understand it.
Yeah. Brilliant. Okie dokie. So we'll go over to Nestle now and hear what you guys have chatted about.
So we got quite a good plan, to be honest, one that I think we're actually going to use. So we'll start off by just giving them a very brief introduction of Nestle and who we are. And then we thought break them, say it was just a class we were working with, break them off into small teams and get them to nominate one child from that team. And if we can, we're hoping we'll bring in stuff like our various vendors, our bobcats and all that, and then have a competition of who can get changed into all of it the quickest. And then after that, we were thinking, as I said earlier, about showing them lots of different sweets and chocolates and getting them to guess which one's Nestle and which one's not. And Lily suggested about getting them up and moving. So we thought, instead of having them say, oh, yes, like stand up if you think it's yes, stand up if you think it's no, just to get them moving a bit more. And then then in their small groups, come up with like a quick sentence definition of what they think a business is, get them to feed back to the class of what they think it is, and then we provide the actual explanation of what it is, and then a brief explanation of the difference between goods and services, and then another activity where they stand up and sit down of, so it'd be like a dog walking business. Do you think that's a good? Stand up if you think it's goods. Stand up if you think it's service. Just lots of stuff for the first session, just to get them excited and out of their seats.
I think that sounds perfect, and you've saved yourself some time now, so you don't have to do that next time when you're going in for the first time. I love that, and I'm sure, Pam, maybe there's some stuff that you can steal there as well with I love the who can get changed the quickest and things. So potentially if you're bringing in some PPE for them to try on, you could incorporate some of that as well. So yeah, great work, guys. I think that's fantastic. Is there any questions around sort of lesson planning? We've got 3 minutes. That is technically the end of the session as well. So if you've got any questions at all about what we've covered or Bright Stars in general, then now is your opportunity to sort of ask those. No. Okay, well, I hope that was useful. As I've said all along, try not to overthink it. You will generally find that the students will love it regardless of what you're doing. You're someone new to their team, sort of going in for the first time. It's a really lovely programme to be part of, and thank you all for joining this session and obviously being part of Bright Stars October 2024. I really can't wait to hear how you all get on. I am here if you want to stay on and ask any other questions. Otherwise, you're free to go. Remember, Hazel's there as well at any point if you do have any other questions.